Good morning, everybody. It's a nice sunny day here in Southern Ontario. We are driving through vineyards and enjoying the scenery today. And I want to talk about something that came up recently with a couple of you asking me, how do I get started with cloud computing? What I would say is start with yourself, right? Take a look at where you are, what you're doing, what you're good at, and then take a look at what you want to be and where you want to be. So let's say you're a sysadmin, a team member who's maintaining running systems, but you're kind of getting bored of continuously working just on, patching and other mindless jobs, and you want to get into automation. You want to go into DevOps, become a DevOps engineer. There is definitely a path from a standard enterprise sysop position into a DevOps cloud role. Really, the experience that you can gain internally in an enterprise role will be very valuable, and with not very much effort you can get to that DevOps role. Another example is, let's say you're a developer, but you want to start developing microservices. You want to start re-architecting solutions, doing migrations of applications, refactoring, redesigning, rewriting code completely. Again, this is where you have a great opportunity to select cloud as your underlying solution on which you're actually going to be building applications, right? You're a developer, you already use code, so going to stateless services, going to services that are cloud native, going to serverless solutions is definitely going to be a good option for you, because being a developer already, you know how to write code, and there's another entry point. Another example would be, maybe you're doing support work, you're a help desk individual, right? You're working with desktops and helping users run their applications and things like that, but you want to build on that knowledge. There is a whole level of virtual desktop management there's a whole service, not just one, there's several services that allow you to deploy virtual desktops in the cloud and do automation on top of that. So those are again good options for you if you're in that kind of position. Now, of course, you can always reach out. Ask me, so look, this is my situation, I don't know where to start, I'll give you some advice. No cost, nothing. I don't need anything in return. This is just, I want to help people succeed in cloud. That's all it is. Another example is, you're a student, right? You're a student, you're learning to be a full stack engineer, for example, right? Full stack engineer, great position to start with the cloud, right? Because you're gonna use cloud for sure, right? Whatever level you're at, even if you're just learning, right? You're gonna be amazed by what the cloud can offer. Even if you haven't seen enterprise solutions, if you've seen what enterprise solutions do, then cloud is gonna be wow, especially at the service level. Yeah, sure, in enterprises you're gonna see a lot of virtualization. In cloud, you're gonna see a lot of automation. That's the big difference, right? That you don't have in a typical standard enterprise environment. So how do you get started? What's the entry point, right? Well, first thing you do is you decide how fast you want to do this, how much effort you're willing to put in on your own research, and then you need to decide whether you're willing to pay for knowledge or not. Now, why do I say whether you need to pay for knowledge or not? Well, cloud computing, public cloud, well, pretty much any cloud computing whether it's AWS or it's Azure or it's Google Cloud or it's Rackspace or it's OpenStack or any cloud solution, doesn't matter, is going to be very well documented on the web. If there's sparse documentation on some features, you'll find user forums going into, you know, tons of detail on these subjects, and you're probably going to need that detail. Now, the most important thing is not for you to learn that detail by heart. You don't need to know exactly what to do to clone a virtual machine in the cloud. You don't need to know exactly which lines to write when you're trying to make a Lambda function talk to a DynamoDB database. You don't need to know how to set up options in a Microsoft SQL cluster through the RDS service, right? I mean, you need to know that those exist, but you need to be aware that they exist and that you can use them to perform some kind of function. I'm not saying you need to actually go there and learn everything. That's not how life works. You should get as much experience as possible, right? Experience just with hands-on is going to help you get a grasp of what these services do and what their benefits and limitations are. Every service will have a limitation, right? If it's super capable, then it's probably costly. If it's super cheap, then it probably has a certain limitation somewhere. And that's across the board in cloud, is how these things work, right? And if it's cheap and all powerful, then it's probably very complicated to set up, right? It's never all of these things at once. So what I'm trying to say here is all the documentation is public, right? If you can't find it in the documentation, then you go to user forums. And any cloud environment will have a community that will share much, much more information than what is generally found in the documentation, or they will answer questions in a different way than if you were to search through documentation. They will answer a particular question on the forums, like, how do I make this code work with my RDS database, right? How do I connect to my RDS database with this code? And they give you a code sample. You know, places like Stack Exchange also definitely is all of these places are valuable and have valuable information about your cloud provider, right? So public documentation, that's number one. Number two, all three providers, the three major ones, have their training programs. AWS training, Azure training, Microsoft whatever training, and Google also has training. If you want to start somewhere, start with a free training. I can tell you that AWS on its training portal has a ton of free courses, just free courses, introductory courses, courses that cover a certain specific topic, anything from like a 20-minute course to a full 6-hour or a full day course is actually available for free, right? And up until now, we haven't spent any money. We have spent zero money on learning, either public resources or the free courseware that's available with all of them. Now, if you want to pay a little bit of money, there's tons of options. You can go for the official trainings, which I would say are definitely super valuable. The level of knowledge that authorized instructors for all of these platforms have is, you know, a tiny bit beyond everybody else. The resources that you can access as an authorized instructor are very, very, you know, near to basically almost working for that company, right? So essentially what you're doing is you're going to the horse's mouth for the information, right? Yes, of course, there's a ton of other courseware. It's your choice, right? You've got online classes that, you know, you can take for months at a time. You've got quickies where it's a 1 day, you know, or you got boot camps. All of those are valid options. If we're talking about knowledge, if we're talking about learning, I will say as an authorized instructor for both AWS and Google that the quality of those trainings is exceptional, right? I'm not trying to say, well, we're better than everybody else. I'm just saying the quality is really high. So if you want that level of quality, and if it's something that your business is paying for, then of course there's, you know, why would you go for something that's second best? Next thing that you have to do after you've gone through the training, after you've gone through these classes, is get more hands-on. Why am I saying more hands-on? Well, because first thing, you know, any kind of training that you go to is definitely going to have some kind of hands-on. It's going to have some kind of labs. Even if you pick up a book on certification, if you pick up a book on any of these topics, you will have labs in there. You'll have, you know, hands-on tasks. In my books, what I do is I do a complete guided tour, basically, right? If you're picking up the SysOps book, it starts with, here's how you open an AWS account, here's how you start instances, here's how you create containers, here's how you create databases, here's how you make everything highly available, here's how you work with VPCs and security groups and everything else. If you're looking at my developer book, in that book I went into a little bit of a different direction, because, you know, I'm assuming you're a developer, you're familiar with code. So what I did is I actually put code examples and a lot of command line examples. So if you want to script things, if you want to run things from the command line, then that kind of a book is really good, right? Although I call my books certification books, that's because the publisher wants you to write a certification book. I definitely say that all of the books are designed to be used, designed to be on your desk, right? They're there to be on your desk, to learn from it as much as you can until the title expires, which, you know, in 2 years, God knows how all of these environments will change. Anyway, once you have that, you got to get more experience, right? You got to get more hands-on. You got to work more. Whether your aim is just to be good, to be better, or whether your aim is to certify, or whether your aim is to get a job or a better job or a different job. And I'm going to talk about jobs and how you can earn a nice salary in cloud, and whatever kind of cloud you're doing, you can make $100K a year US dollars in a cloud job easily. It's not difficult to get there, right? You will have to sort of conform to the rules that I'm going to set out, but other than that, it is not that difficult. It is, you know, there is going to be effort. You're going to have to study hard. You're going to have to work hard. But if you don't work hard, right, you don't get the rewards. Okay. Yeah. So, as I said, whatever your goal is, hands-on is super important, and having hands-on will, you know, help you. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about hands-on experience, and then after that, we're going to talk about how to make $100K a year in the cloud. All right, that is it for today. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody who watches these videos, and of course, if you do want to support my channel, please subscribe, please like videos, comment on them, and of course, you know, if you find a video that's particularly interesting, I would love if you share it around with your friends or with whomever would be interested. And of course, also, let me not forget about the live events. I'm going to start doing a lot more live events now that I figured out how the live thing works. It's not as easy as it looks, but now I have live figured out, and I'm going to say, just stay tuned, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we'll see each other on live events. All right, thank you. Bye.